know if I do want to. I mean, I actually think that I should stop, because I'm kind of at the limits of, I'm at the point where the probability that I will say something stupid is starting to increase, and I would rather not, because just saying the things that I'm trying to say that aren't stupid is dangerous enough.
Yes, this isn't the topic where you want to make that kind of error.
Yes.
Right.
So I would say maybe...
Boy, is there a more charged subject?
It's funny that it's charged because, as you point out, we're pretty much all in agreement about it, right? I mean,
you find someone who's not, and they're instantly ostracized from society.
Right.
I mean, anybody who has an argument about Genghis Khan, I mean, there's a really fascinating take on this by Dan Carlin from Hardcore History, where he's talking about the amount of time that has passed since a horrible atrocity, and that there are people that will argue that Genghis Khan, who killed 10% of the world's population, changed things so badly that it literally lowered the carbon footprint of the human race while he was alive, killed some untold number of millions of people, and was responsible for their deaths. People look to him and they find all sorts of positive things to attribute to his reign, opening up trade with China, opening up trade routes, all these different things that people have attributed to him, and that someday someone may do the same thing about Adolf Hitler. Right now, that is impossible.
He certainly made that job very difficult with all of the documentation, and especially the films. But let's just say the argument that I want to level, I want to be really careful to do this so that it can't be misinterpreted by anybody.
I'm gonna enjoy watching this.
Are you? Okay. If I'm cornered, will you come help?
No way, man. The knives are going out.
Oh no. Okay. So my argument from all those years ago in my paper that I did for Bob Trivers that I mentioned at the beginning was that Hitler was a monster, as we all know, but he was a rational monster. That the program that he deployed was not what he said, mind you. What he said was wrong in many places, especially where it gets near Darwinism. It's just all tangled and broken. But what he did was rational from the point of view of increasing the amount of resource that was dedicated to producing members of his population. And so my point is, this is the danger that we are in if we allow ourselves to imagine that genocidal impulses are more or less gone from the world because we've all agreed that they're a bad thing. And the point is that they exist in a latent program, and at a point when you have austerity as a result of usually an opportunity that has run its course and has resulted in the population growing to fill that opportunity, and suddenly there's nowhere to go because the opportunity has all been absorbed. The tendency of people is to figure out what other population is weak. And if that population is across a border, then there's some excuse for war. And if the population is within the border, then it's a genocide. But the point is that is an ever-present danger for us.
Okay, I want to clarify one thing. I mean, because this argument was sort of phrased as we have a disagreement about Hitler. And I would like to point out that I don't actually disagree with anything that you just said. Because if I remain relatively silent, I don't want it to be seen that the fact that I'm disagreeing with you means, or that there is a disagreement means that it's a disagreement about any of that. I think the disagreement was something like, I said that Hitler was even more evil than we thought he was. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're pointing out the danger of assuming that you can put Hitler in he was just a monster box and don't think about it anymore. And I would say I agree absolutely with that. I mean, I've studied Hitler a lot, and there's a bunch of things that you can't say about him. You can't say he was stupid.
Right.
You can't say he was without artistic talent. You can't say that he was a poor organizer. You can't say that he wasn't charismatic. You can't say that he did wonders for Germany's economy in the first part of his reign. And so it's very necessary if you're dealing intelligently with the true monster that you give the devil his due.
Yeah. So I think the thing that I saw in your video was your argument was that as he was losing, instead of putting the genocide on pause and
winning the war.
Winning, that he ratcheted up the genocide.
Yeah. I don't know if it would really be, I don't think it's necessarily fair to say